You know, she said, swirling the last of her wine, Ryan was more fun. He'd have turned this whole weekend into a wild adventure. That was the first time I truly hated the way she laughed. It wasn't the joke. I've been the butt of worse. It was how she said it. Effortless. Casual. Like it didn't slice something open in me. Like my silence was part of the joke. Her friends chuckled. I smiled. I always smiled. That was my role, the safe one. The stable one. The guy who holds the bags while she poses. But something in me twitched. Not snapped. Just shifted. See, I'd heard her talk about Ryan before. Her ex from college. Tall. Charismatic. Spontaneous. The kind of guy who'd whisk her to New Orleans at midnight or talk his way into VIP parties with nothing but a grin and a stolen wristband. I used to envy him, honestly. Until that night, I didn't realize she still missed him. Or maybe I did, and just didn't want to face it. That night, I lay awake beside her, staring at the ceiling fan spinning like a slow, condescending clock. She slept easily, deeply. I didn't. My mind wandered, not just to Ryan, but to the man I had become for her. Less spontaneous, less fun, but steady, reliable. She used to say that was what she needed. Now, I wasn't so sure. The next morning, over coffee, I asked her casually, what made Ryan so fun? She blinked. Last night. You said he was more fun. Just curious what that meant. She laughed again, dismissive. Oh, don't be sensitive, babe. You're great. But he was just a wild card. Everything felt like a movie with him. She said that with a wistful smile, then took a sip like it meant nothing. And something inside me made a quiet decision. A week later, I found him. Ryan Marks. Still living in the city. Divorced. Mid-level creative at some ad agency. I sent him a message, short, polite, carefully worded. Said I was Natalie's husband. That I'd love to have him over for dinner. A gesture of peace. Closure, even. Just men being adults. To my surprise, he agreed. He showed up on a Thursday night. I kept it simple. Grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, a good bottle of red. Natalie dressed up, almost nervously. She didn't know who the guest was until she opened the door. Her smile froze. Ryan, she said. He grinned. Hey, Nat. She glanced at me, confused, maybe even a little panicked. What is this? I stepped forward, casually wiping my hands on a dish towel. I invited him. Thought it might be fun. You said he was the life of the party, right? Her mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. We sat. I played the perfect host. Warm, gracious. I asked Ryan about his work, his travels, his stories from the old days. Natalie barely touched her food. She kept glancing between us like waiting for a bomb to go off. It didn't. Not yet. Ryan was everything I expected. Charming, a little cocky, clearly still coasting on past glory. He spoke about his failed marriage like a joke. Mentioned a new girlfriend, 25, yoga instructor. Still chasing the rush, still allergic to the mundane. He talked about Natalie too. Man, your wife, he said, laughing, pointing at her with his fork. Back in the day, she was wild. Remember that night we broke into the rooftop pool at? Ryan, Natalie said sharply. Maybe don't. He leaned back, surprised. What? I'm just saying, you were fearless. You used to. I said don't. The room cooled. I sipped my wine slowly. It's okay. I like hearing about who she used to be. Her eyes locked on mine. There was no affection in them now. Just confusion. Suspicion. A growing unease. After dinner, I asked them both to sit in the living room while I brought out dessert. I didn't rush. I gave them time to sit together, to feel the tension rise. When I returned, I found Ryan standing awkwardly near the fireplace, hands in his pockets. Natalie sat stiffly on the edge of the couch. I placed the plates down. Cheesecake, store-bought. I never claimed to be a baker. Then Saturday, Ryan, I said. You ever wonder why you and Natalie didn't work out? He laughed uncomfortably. I mean, we were young. We wanted different things. Right, I nodded. And now? He looked at her, then back at me. Still the same, I guess. Natalie was silent. I leaned forward slightly. You said she used to be wild. Fearless. Do you still see that? He shifted. Well, people change. That's life, right? I looked at Natalie then. Really looked. The woman who once danced barefoot in the rain now triple-checked calendar invites. Who used to drag me out for midnight drives now got upset if I bought the wrong almond milk. Who once were chaos like a perfume now flinched at anything unplanned. She was still beautiful, but dulled. Softer. Quieter. Not in a bad way. Just different. And Ryan saw it too. He tried to cover it with a laugh, but it fell flat. Natalie, I said gently, I think he misses the version of you that didn't have bills, or routines, or a mortgage. The one you said I could never compete with. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Ryan stepped back. Look, I didn't mean to. I think I should go. I stood. Dessert's getting cold. He shook his head. Nah, thanks, but I've got an early morning. He left without shaking my hand. Natalie didn't stop him. She didn't say a word until the front door closed. And then, the silence cracked. She didn't cry right away. That surprised me. She just sat there on the edge of the couch, staring at the untouched cheesecake like it had betrayed her. Her hands were folded tightly in her lap, the way she used to sit during job interviews or on tense calls with her mom. That careful stillness. But her eyes, they weren't still. They darted, searching, as if trying to rewrite what had just happened, as if she could will the evening into something else. I don't understand what that was, she finally said. I sat across from her and picked up my fork. It was dessert. Don't, she said, her voice tight. Don't pretend that wasn't calculated. I didn't answer. She stood abruptly, began pacing the living room. Why would you invite him here? After everything I've told you? Do you know how weird that was for me? Weird, I repeated, still calm. You said he was more fun. I just thought, maybe you missed him. She stopped mid-step. It was a joke. I nodded slowly. Sure, just like all the others. Like when you laughed about how he used to sneak you into concerts. Or how he once crashed a wedding and you danced with the bride's dad. Or how I'd never understand the way you two just clicked. She flinched. Barely. But I saw it. That's not fair, she whispered. What's not fair? I said, my voice steady. That I listened? That I remembered? She walked to the window and stared out, arms folded. I was trying to make a point. You used to be spontaneous too, you know. You used to do things without needing a calendar or a spreadsheet. There it was. The real complaint. So this is about me being boring now? She turned, eyes glassy. It's about you being predictable. Safe. I don't know. Everything feels so beige. Beige. She exhaled, like the word had been waiting for months. You come home at 6:30. You eat chicken and vegetables. You do the dishes. Then you scroll on your phone until bed. There's no spark anymore. I stood up. Slowly. Put the plate down. You want spark? I said. You want fireworks? You know what fireworks are, Natalie? They're pretty. Loud. And they burn out fast. Then you're left in the dark, smelling smoke. She didn't say anything. I took a step closer. Ryan was a firework. I'm a fireplace. I burn steady. I keep the house warm. I don't impress your friends, but I keep the lights on. And you used to sit beside that fire and say you'd never trade it for anything. Her voice broke. I didn't you? Silence. I looked around the room I'd painted, furnished, filled with little touches just for her. The throw blanket she picked out. The shelf I built by hand when she said she wanted a cozy nook. The dimmer lights we argued over for 2 hours at Home Depot. I pointed at the room. All of this, was me trying to love you the way you asked to be loved. I know, she whispered. And somewhere along the line, I said, you started missing the chaos. The risk. The boy who made you feel like you were in a movie. She closed her eyes, a tear slipping down her cheek. I didn't know I was making you feel small. I didn't answer that. Because that's the thing about feeling small, you don't always know when it starts. It just builds, brick by brick. A joke here. A comparison there. A laugh that lingers a little too long at someone else's story. Until one day, you realize you're the punchline in your own home. She walked toward me, slow, hesitant. I don't want to lose you, she said. I looked at her, really looked. She was still beautiful. Still the woman I once drove 5 hours in the rain just to surprise with her favorite pie from that tiny bakery upstate. Still the woman who held my hand during my dad's funeral and never let go. But also not the same. Neither of us were. You already lost me, I said gently. You just didn't notice until tonight. Her face crumpled. She turned away, walked to the hallway, then paused. I never cheated, she said, as if that cleared the ledger. I never touched him. I never even considered. I believe you, I said. That's not the part that hurts. She looked at me, confused. It's not the men, I said. It's the moments. The 1,000 tiny ways you made me feel like I wasn't enough. Like I was just holding your place until someone better showed up. She covered her mouth with her hand. A sob escaped anyway. Then she disappeared down the hall. I heard the bedroom door close. Not slam, just close. Soft. Final. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat in the living room, beside the cold cheesecake, watching the shadows move across the walls. By morning, the silence in the house had thickened. It felt heavy, dense. Natalie didn't come out. I didn't go in. Around noon, I started packing. Not angrily. Not dramatically. Just neatly. Intentionally. Because something inside me knew. Even if we talked again, even if we tried to fix it, the thread had snapped. You can knot a thread. You can patch a rip. But the clean line of trust? Once it's frayed, it never lies flat again. She came out as I was zipping the last suitcase shut. Her hair was unbrushed. Her face pale. She looked smaller somehow, like the night had shrunk her. She stood by the kitchen island, clutching a mug she hadn't sipped from. "You're really leaving?" she asked. I nodded gently. "I think we both know I have to." She bit her bottom lip, a nervous habit I'd always found endearing. Now it just made me sad. "Can we talk?" "We've talked, Natalie. We've done nothing but talk. You just didn't hear me until I stopped sounding like myself." She winced. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "But you did." I paused, then added, "It wasn't just Ryan. It was the version of yourself you kept comparing us to. The you that existed in a memory, in an echo." She looked away. "I miss that girl sometimes." "I know," I said. "But she's gone. And in chasing her, you lost the man who loved the woman you became." Silence. Then, with a small voice, "Is there someone else?" That one almost made me laugh. But not the kind of laugh that feels good. The kind that chokes a little on its way out. "No," I said. "There's no one else. Just me. For once, I chose me." I lifted the suitcase and walked toward the door. She followed. "Nate," she said, "what am I supposed to do now?" I stopped, hand on the doorknob. "That depends," I said. "Do you want to find the girl Ryan used to date? Or the woman who forgot she was already loved?" Her lip trembled. I opened the door, took one step onto the porch, then paused. "You know," I said, turning slightly, "when I first invited Ryan, I thought I was being clever. I wanted you to see him clearly, to see how far you drifted from what you thought you missed." Her voice cracked. And it worked, but not the way I expected. She blinked. "What do you mean?" "I saw you clearly too." She stepped forward. "Tell me what you saw." I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel angry, or heartbroken, or desperate to fix anything. I just felt honest. I saw someone clinging to old dreams. Someone who resents the calm because it reminds her that the chaos is gone. But you know what I didn't see? She shook her head. I didn't see someone ready to fight for me. That landed hard. I walked to my car. She didn't follow. As I pulled away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. She stood in the doorway, arms folded tightly around herself like she was holding something in, or maybe holding herself together. 3 months passed. We didn't talk. I moved into a small apartment above a bookstore downtown. It was quiet, smelled like old pages and burnt coffee. I liked it. I started painting again. Badly at first, then less badly. I found pieces of myself I hadn't seen in years. Then, one day, an envelope arrived. No return address. Just my name in her handwriting. Inside, a single photograph. It was of us. Years ago, her head on my shoulder, our faces lit by firelight. A camping trip. We'd forgotten a tent pole and built a makeshift shelter out of branches and a tarp. It collapsed at 3 a.m. We laughed for hours. On the back, she'd written, "You were never beige. I just forgot how to see you." No signature. No plea. Just truth. And that truth, that quiet little sentence, meant more than all the apologies in the world. We met for coffee a few weeks later. No promises. No rings. Just two people, stripped of illusions, seeing each other with new eyes. I don't know if we'll make it. I don't even know if we should. But I do know this. She joked that her ex was more fun. So I invited him to dinner and let him see what she became. He left before dessert. She left in tears. And I left with my self-respect. That night didn't break us. It revealed us. And sometimes, that's enough.